Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a huge fear that's been floating around the crypto world. You know, the kind of thing that keeps investors up at night. I'm talking about the quantum threat to Bitcoin.
So let's just get right to it, right? The big question at the heart of all this anxiety. Could one of these new supercomputers, a quantum computer, with, almost unimaginable power, could it actually break Bitcoin?
And this is the number that's fueling all that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Well, pretty much everyone in crypto just calls FUD. This is the nightmare scenario, right? The idea that Bitcoin's value could just plummet to basically zero overnight, all because its security gets cracked.
Okay, so this is the fear. But what's the reality? How much of this is just sci-fi, and how much is a real, actual risk? Is this something you and I need to be worried about, like, right now? All right, let's really get into it and separate the facts from all that fear. Okay, so before we can even start to break down the threat, we've got to take a quick step back. Let's just do a quick reminder of what gives Bitcoin its value to begin with. What exactly is it that we're trying to protect here?
Well, unlike, regular money that governments can just print more of whenever they want, Bitcoin's value is built on something totally different. It's built on digital scarcity. There's a hard cap. Only 21 million will ever exist, period. Its rules, its monetary policy are literally locked into the code. And it's decentralized, which means no single government, no single company can control it.
And that's exactly why you hear people call it digital gold. It's supposed to be this secure, global store of value that nobody can mess with. So here's the bottom line. It's security, that cryptographic backbone. It's not just important. It is everything. Okay, so if security is the whole game, how would a quantum computer even try to attack this digital gold? Let's get really specific here about where the weak point, the attack vector, actually is.
First off, this isn't some movie-style hack where the whole network just collapses at once. No, the real vulnerability is actually in a tiny, specific window of time. It's that moment when a transaction is sent out to the network, but before it gets locked into a block.
See, the lock that protects your Bitcoin is something called the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. Yeah, it's a mouthful, so everyone just calls it ECDSA. The easiest way to think about it is like the digital seal or signature on every single transaction. Now, against any computer we have today, this lock is basically unbreakable. But, and this is the big but, a quantum computer that's powerful enough could, theoretically, pick that lock.
Now, this is a really important distinction to make. You'll hear people talk about two different quantum threats. One is about mining. And yeah, a quantum computer could maybe speed up the hashing, the mining process. But that's really just a race, A race to find the next block. It doesn't mean your funds get stolen. The real danger, the one we're actually talking about here, is the theft part, breaking those ECDSA signatures to get access to someone's private keys.
So that all sounds pretty scary, right? But here's the good news. The crypto community, the developers, they aren't just sitting on their hands waiting for this to happen. No way. They are already actively building a shield against it.
And this solution has a name. It's called post-quantum cryptography, or PQC for short. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying it's a whole new generation of cryptographic locks. Locks that are built from the ground up to be secure against both regular computers and quantum computers.
And it's not just a vague idea. There's actually a clear roadmap for how to roll this out. It's a whole process. Step 1, you develop the new standards for these quantum-proof algorithms. Step 2, you test them like crazy. Step 3, you roll them out through a network upgrade. But the most important part? Step 4, you do all of this before a quantum computer could actually pose a real threat.
And that right there tells you something really important about the Bitcoin network. It's not the static thing that never changes. It was actually designed to evolve, to upgrade its own defenses over time. So this isn't some last-minute panicked reaction. It's a proactive, deliberate plan to future-proof the whole network.
Okay, so this brings us all the way back to where we started, back to that scary 10-cent price tag. After looking at the actual threat and the defense that's being built, what's the final verdict? Should you be worried?
Well, the general consensus among the experts who study this stuff is pretty clear. The risk is, well, it's pretty much negligible. And why is that? Because the network is designed to adapt. The upgrade to quantum resistance code would happen long before an attack could actually cause some kind of catastrophic collapse of trust and value.
So in other words, that whole 10-cent Bitcoin scenario, it's basically hyperbole. It's FUD. It's a scary story that completely ignores all the proactive work that's already being done to prevent it.
And let's just recap why that kind of collapse is so unlikely. First, This isn't a secret. It's a known, public race between technology and cryptography. Second, the solutions, the PQC, are already in development. Third, the network is literally designed to be able to upgrade. And finally, the whole plan is to get this done well before it's ever actually needed.
So when you step back and look at it, the real takeaway here isn't about some fatal flaw in Bitcoin. It's actually a story about its resilience. The real race isn't just quantum computers versus Bitcoin. It's this ongoing battle between cutting-edge computing and proactive security innovation. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Bitcoin is clearly preparing for a quantum future. But what about the rest of our digital world? You know, our banks, our online communications, our critical infrastructure? Are they even preparing for the race?